Hey everyone, it's Miss Jamie. I'm here to do a little mini lesson and show you a couple videos on the properties of water. I noticed that a few people are having a hard time articulating these properties to me in the discussion-based assessment. There's a big hint. And also, some people seem confused about what's actually important to take as notes. So I'm going to be demonstrating both of those. So our objectives for this mini lesson are to draw and describe the structure of a water molecule and define and explain the major properties of water. So one of the main properties of water is polarity, which is the ability of water molecules to stick together due to the positive and negative charges. I'm going to encourage you to pause the video here and write this down into your notes. I'm not going to wait and have silence on the video for you to write it down, but this is an important word. We will watch the video after I go through this. So a water molecule, we know water is made of one oxygen and two hydrogens. We see the oxygen here and our two hydrogens. Water often looks like a Mickey Mouse head, right? Except here it's an upside down Mickey Mouse. The electrons are pulled more towards the oxygen molecule, right? Oxygen is bigger, it's a stronger molecule, it has more pull, and in this case, it pulls the electrons closer to itself. Because electrons have a negative charge, the oxygen part of the water molecule ends up getting a partial negative charge. This is just the official chemistry symbol that we use to demonstrate a partial negative charge. The partial positive charge is on the hydrogen side of the water molecule, same symbol with a plus sign here. The hydrogens are slightly positive, the oxygen is slightly negative. Because positive and negative items are attracted to each other, this means that water molecules will stick together. The bonds are called polar bonds. They're really called polar covalent bonds, but this is not a chemistry class, so we're not going to go into too much detail. But the electrons are shared here. And polar molecules, like water, are attracted to each other like magnets, which I already said. Again, pause the video here, write down this information, particularly the picture. Draw the picture into your notes. It will help you. So another property of water is capillary action. Because of the polarity of water molecules, they climb up small tubes and are able to travel not without gravity, but against gravity, right? So if you take a small tube and you place it into a larger cup of water, the water molecules will actually climb up the tube. This is using both adhesion and cohesion, which we will define later. But the water molecules are attracted to each other, they climb up the tube. This is how water is able to defy gravity in plants, right? Capillary action is how plants are able to take water from the ground up hundreds of feet to the leaves of a tree. This also happens inside your own body in your veins and arteries and your capillaries, where water, which is most of your blood, actually helps pull blood up your body so that you can get blood to your brain, which is super important, right? Your heart also helps with that, obviously. But in plants, particularly, they don't have a heart. They rely heavily on capillary action to move water. Adhesion and cohesion, right? Adhesion is when water molecules also stick to other substances. In this case, they're sticking to a tube, they're sticking to a vein, an artery, right? Another substance or molecule. Cohesion is when water molecules stick together, right? You might want to think together, and then adhesion, you're just going to have to remember that it's another surface. That one doesn't have a cool way to remember, unfortunately. Again, pause, write this down. Next property is surface tension, which is water's ability to stick together that allows it to resist a force, right? This is on the surface of a water body. You may have noticed if you ever have a glass and you fill it up with water, you can actually fill it up a little higher than the glass. The water molecules will make a mountain on top of the glass, right? That's because of surface tension. At a certain point, you've gone too far, the force is greater than the water can withstand, and the water will spill. You can also do this by dropping water onto a penny, right, with an eyedropper. and see that water will stick together, and you can actually get way more drops of water than you could of another substance. So there's an optional experiment here. I am going to show a video of this at the very end. So if you want to do this at home, definitely don't watch the video because it will ruin it for you. But to demonstrate surface tension, you can actually fill up a bowl with water, sprinkle pepper on it, just the kind of pepper that you put on food, and dip your finger in dish soap, and then dip your finger into the bowl. And you will notice something very interesting happens. The reason that this happens is because that dish soap breaks surface tension, right? In fact, that is part of why we need soap to clean things. It helps to break apart molecules. That's what soap does. So it breaks apart food molecules, it breaks apart water molecules, and allows you to actually move those things around and clean something. All right, another interesting property of water has to do with the phases of water, right? Solid, liquid, gas are phases from hopefully middle school or physical science, if you took physical science already. There are 3 phases. Usually the solid phase is the most dense. Most elements, when they're in their solid phase, are heavier than their liquid or their gas phase. Water is special. It is less dense as a solid. That means that ice floats on water. That's a big deal. And in the video we're going to watch, we will see environmental consequences of that. Water is also one of the only substances where we see all 3 states of matter in our everyday lives, right? We see water as a liquid and a solid. You see ice, right, especially in the winter in your ice maker. And you don't see water as a gas, but a large portion of the air that you're breathing actually has water as a vapor in it. And when you exhale, you are breathing out some water molecules as waste. So all 3 states of matter exist around us, right? If you can think of another substance where that's true, please let me know. But we don't really see liquid nitrogen around. It exists, right? We don't see solid nitrogen, definitely. Oxygen, we don't see that as a solid, right? We don't even see that as a liquid. Any other thing, maybe mercury, we could see as a liquid and a gas, but again, mercury is poisonous, so you want to stay away from it. So try to think if there's anything else that we see all 3 phases of that substance. All right, so now we're going to watch this video. This will not ruin the experiment if you want to do the experiment at home. It's called How Polarity Makes Water Behave Strangely. And it was actually a TED Talk, right? It's very good. We're going to watch the whole thing. You can also look up this title on YouTube on your own if you want to open it in YouTube. Oops, and I didn't click play. There we go.
How come some insects are able to walk on the surface of a pond, but you quickly sink to the bottom when you try to walk on water? And why do lakes freeze from the top down in winter? In a word, the answer to all of these questions is polarity. Water is a simple molecule made up of 1 oxygen atom and 2 hydrogen atoms, but it is essential to life. In fact, water makes up approximately 60% of the adult human being's body weight. The polarity within those water molecules gives this common substance the properties that make it unique and life-sustaining. Polarity refers to the unequal sharing of electrons within a molecule. For water, the bonding between the oxygen atom and 2 hydrogen atoms within a single water molecule is like a tug of war between a big, strong football player and a cute little toddler. Oxygen is a larger atom with more protons in its nucleus than hydrogen. These positive charges are like a person's physical strength. They are able to attract the negatively charged electrons in the bond, just like a strong individual is able to overpower a weaker individual in a tug of war. So, oxygen is able to attract more than its fair share of electrons. Because hydrogen is smaller and has less strength, or fewer protons, it loses the tug of war and attracts fewer than its fair share of electrons. So the oxygen in water behaves as though it's negative, and the hydrogens behave as though they're positive. The bonds within a single water molecule are called polar covalent bonds. Covalent means that the electrons are shared. But, as we just learned, polar means that these electrons are not shared equally. In water, the oxygen acts negative, and the hydrogens act positive. Since negative and positive attract, that oxygen is attracted to the hydrogen atoms in neighboring water molecules. A special type of bond forms between water molecules, known as a hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bonds don't just happen in water either. They can form between a water molecule and different substances that are polar or ionic. Water's ability to stick to itself is called cohesion, while water's ability to stick to other substances is called adhesion. Now, think back to the initial questions. First, why are some insects able to walk on water? Surface tension, due to hydrogen bonding, creates a thin film on the surface of water that gives enough resistance for super light insects to walk on. You can't walk on it because the hydrogen bonds aren't strong enough to hold you up. Why does ice float on top of liquid water? For most other substances, the solid state is more dense than the liquid state. But that is not the case for water. Hydrogen bonds keep water molecules farther apart in frozen water than in liquid water. The farther apart the molecules are, the less dense that solid is. So ice is about 9% less dense than water, which means it floats on the top. That's why lakes freeze from the top down and aquatic life is able to survive through a cold winter every year. It is the polarity of the water molecule and the resulting hydrogen bonding that account for water's unique properties. So, the reason that water is so special, from inside your cells to the world's oceans, is simply because it is a polar molecule.
All right, so this also got into hydrogen bonding, right, which is also a very important concept here that I'm not going to really go intensely on because it's going to be something that you learn about in chemistry. If you've already taken chemistry, then you're more familiar with it. But hydrogen bonds between water molecules are super important to help water with the properties. But as she stated in the video, polarity, right, or the polar bonds found in a water molecule are what are responsible for giving water its special and unique properties. So now, take a moment to pause the video and answer these two questions. Hint, 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 hint. They will really help you with the discussion-based assessment. Try to see if you can answer them. If not, maybe watch the video again or go back into your notes. If you do not want to do the pepper and water experiment at home, I'm going to also now play a video of that. And therefore, if you want to do that experiment or you already did it, you can watch. Otherwise, you might want to exit the video. So it's kind of hard to find good videos of this stuff on YouTube because some people aren't good at
This
filming.
is a magic trick that you can easily master if you
This guy
understand the
super loud.
concept of surface tension. Pepper and dishwasher experiment. For this experiment, you'll need a bowl, water, liquid dishwasher gel, and some grounded black pepper. Procedure. First, take the bowl and fill it with water. Next, sprinkle some pepper over the water.
So notice here that the pepper is floating on the water, right? That's because of surface tension. The pepper is not heavy enough or dense enough to actually break those hydrogen bonds and sink into the water here.
Then dip your finger into the water and observe. Nothing will happen to the pepper present in the bowl.
So even though you broke the surface tension in that one spot, right, the rest of the water maintains surface tension and the pepper is still able to float, right? That's probably a good thing because think about if you're a boat on the ocean. If somebody disrupts surface tension by jumping into the ocean in one place, you would not want your entire boat to sink because of that.
Now, put some liquid dishwasher gel on your finger and dip that finger into the bowl. You'll notice that the pepper, which is sprinkled over the water, moves away from the finger and rushes back to the outer edge of the bowl. Explanation. The pepper floats on top of the water due to surface tension of the water. The surface tension pulls the top of the water together like a skin so the water bulges up a bit. Surface tension is the result of a strong attraction between molecules in a liquid. Water has an unusually high surface tension compared with most other liquids because water molecules are very strongly attracted to each other.
And we know that's because of polar bonds within the water molecule and hydrogen bonds between the water molecules.
This strong attraction allows the water to bulge up a bit and makes some insects able to skate on its surface. When the dishwasher gel is put into the water, the surface tension of the water gets ruptured, and the bulged part of the water spreads out. So, water molecules on the surface are pulled towards the ends of the bowl when the detergent comes in contact with the water. When the surface tension of the water breaks, the topmost molecules of the water spread out, and in the process, they take the pepper particles away, thus making it look as if they are running away from the liquid soap. Don't forget to like this video.
All right, so a lot of the pepper also will sink into the bottom of the bowl. If you try this at home, you can observe that a little bit more closely. Okay, so that was some help on the properties of water. I hope this video has helped you understand a little bit better about why water is so special and why it's so necessary for life.